Cable bent knee RDL. To set up this movement, you're gonna grab a box, a step, or like you see here, a stack of plates, and place it in the middle of your cable machine, just about in line with the handles. You're gonna grab the cables in each hand and step up, making sure that your feet are about shoulder width apart and your toes are pointing forward. For this variation of the RDL, we wanna make sure that we have a bend in our knees. So you want that bend to be about 30 degrees. You don't have to take out your protractor or anything like that, but having a little bit more of a knee bend as you're coming down through the movement is gonna help us to bias more of our glutes versus if our legs were straighter, that would bias more of the hamstrings. The amount of knee bend will be individually dependent. So if you use too much knee bend, you're gonna feel it a bit more in your quads. And if you don't use enough, you'll probably feel it more in your hamstrings. So this is gonna be a test and assess to see how much bend you need to really get the most out of that glute stimulus. As you come down, think about pushing your hips and your butt back rather than just bending forward. So a good cue that I like to think about is closing the car door when my hands are full with my butt, right? We've all done that before. When our hands are full, we kind of do that hinging motion backwards. That's what I want you to think about. Once you can't push your butt back anymore, that's where I want you to end the movement. So that is what we call your end range. If you go further down past that, it's gonna shift the load more to your lower back, and that's not what we want. We wanna keep that load and that tension in our glutes. You're then gonna fire your glutes to drive your hips forward on the way up. Make sure that you're bracing your core throughout the entire motion and keep your chin relatively tucked. This is gonna help us to keep our back flat and prevent any hyperextending or rounding that would compromise and potentially cause injury. Also, don't look up at any time during the movement. This is a mistake that I used to make a lot, and I see a lot of people doing this. You do not want to look up. Again, this is going to compromise your spine, and it's also going to take away from the tension in your glutes. So we want to keep that neutral spine, that flat back the entire time. Pick a focal point on the floor, something that you can look at like a few feet in front of you. That's going to help you to not look up at any time.